Hi, Mike. While I have you here, can you give us a walk around of the P40?
Sure. This is a Curtiss P40N Warhawk built in 1944. It's got a Allison 1710 cubic inch engine in it. It's 1,460 horsepower. The airplane cruises about 250 miles an hour. Has a never exceed speed of 497 miles an hour. It's a delight to fly. It's got hydraulic landing gear, hydraulic flaps. It's about 37 feet wide, weighs about 8,000 pounds, and it's a very, very responsive airplane. It was flown with the Flying Tigers over in China, Claire Chennault. This particular aircraft is painted after General Charlie Bond, who flew with Claire Chennault. And Charlie's still alive. He's over 90 years old, and he lives north of here, some undisclosed location.
Are there any characteristics about the P40 that you can think about that you got to watch out for, you got to be careful about?
On takeoff, this airplane is 18 inches, the N model is 18 inches longer than the K model, and they lengthened it. It's so short coupled, and when you apply the power, you have to be very careful. You can run out of rudder. The torque will take you to the left and hold the rudder. The brakes are old, antiquated brakes, but it's got a steerable tail wheel, makes it real nice. Handles in a crosswind. I just landed in about 100-degree crosswind here, and it did just fine. It's got good visibility, I guess fairly good. It's got a very long nose on it, and from the pilot's perspective, you cannot see over the nose that you get going over 200 miles an hour. So you have to use a lot of peripheral vision, but it's steerable tail wheel. It's got very good handling characteristics on the ground. I've flown probably 10 or 11 different high-performance airplanes. It's my most favorite one.
What about when you're landing? Are you doing a three-point landing? Are you putting the main gear down first?
I do a tail-low wheel landing. The tail wheel mechanism on this airplane is probably not the strongest in the world, and the book even tells you not to three-point the airplane. So you do a tail-low wheel landing, and just walk. I call it just walk it on, and ease the power back. And you're over the numbers about 120 miles an hour, 105 knots. And I try not to go into anything less than 4,000 feet, and that's not a problem at all. I get it down in 3,500 feet all the time.
Typically, a pilot before he flies, he does a quick pre-flight walk around.
Yeah, what you would do, you would look inside the intakes. This is a coolant radiator. This is a coolant radiator, and this is for your oil cooler. And so on a hot day, you got to get it off the ground pretty quick, or it will overheat. This is a 30s technology airplane, so it's kind of antiquated. It's got a Curtiss Electric prop, is a very, very good prop. You would check, make sure you don't have any leaks or any debris that would restrict the flow. These are your cow flaps. This allows the air flowing through there. The faster you go, you can reduce this angle. On the ground, you need them wide open to get as much air as you can. And you got about 15 minutes max. Excuse me, you have to get this thing off the ground. Excuse me. You would take a coin and tap each one of those, because one of them's broke. It'll sound like that. So you check all those. You look up inside here on the back side of your three coolers, make sure you don't have a leak. Check your brakes, your tire pressure. If you got a drip running down the inside of the tires, you got a leaky hydraulic. You check your doors are all they're fine. This is your down indicator for your landing gear. As the gear comes down, this comes up. As the gear goes up, this comes down. These are barrels. There's no guns in there. They just make sure they're tight. You walk around, make sure the leading edge doesn't have a bunch of dents in it. Come around here, you have your nav lights, tip, just kind of do that. And you come to your right aileron, and you look at your mechanism here to make sure the bolts are tight. You got a thread and a half showing, and you just move them just a little bit to make sure that they're free and correct. That's the term. You got a trim tab here, and you look in here. Look at your bolts right here. And this is fabric, so you make sure there's no tears in the fabric. So you treat it very gingerly. Make sure these are your gun bays for your ammo bays. Make sure the two pins are up. You pull those pins out, they fold up, and that's how you put the ammo in the wing. General condition of the wing, says coolant vent. If it does cook off or overheat, it'll dump coolant there. If you do see a sign of it, then you'll need to make sure that you have ample coolant in the system. You check your canopy. You check for any dents or anything, broken glass. All this wing fairing's good. You come back here, you have antennas. Make sure your gear doors, you know they're out like this from experience. Got a little bit of slack in them, which is correct. Make sure your tail wheel tire is not flat. Got your cap on there, dust cover for the bearing. You look all down through here. You come over here to your elevator. You got a bolt here, you got a nut here. You make sure it's tight. You got one here and then here, and then you work your elevator. This is your trim tab connection. This helps you load and unload the elevators. Make sure that's tight. It's free movement. You check your mechanism here for your rudder cables and all, and your nuts and bolts here. Anything that looks broken, ADF antenna, you just move your rudder to make sure it's good. There again, you have your trim tab here.
Got it.
Make sure it's secure. It moves freely. And you also check condition of your fabric. Elevator, rudder, and ailerons are all fabric. You have another bolt over here for your other aileron cable. You check the nuts from the other side. Check this is good. Fabric. Again, trim tab across, bolt. And all you have to come around here and you can look up and you see the nuts on the bolts. And you look at the bottom of your elevator, make sure it's not tore. If the fabric's tore, then you don't go. And you can reach over there and just make sure it's secure.
Okay.
Come up here, you check the gear door here. Excuse me, you check this side of the tail wheel, make sure it's the condition of the tire is good. The sidewalls ought to be fairly straight. And you learn the angle of the tail wheel. It's at that angle from flying experience. Make sure all your inspection panels, all your screws. You got a missing screw, it needs to be taken care of. Here's your luggage compartment. Keep chocks and different things. This is your log books. You make sure you have all your current papers. It's in annual, transponder check. And you can, with a Zeus tool or small coin, you lock it down. These are safeties. Check the wing fairing. This right here, when this is up, your flaps are down. This is your manual flap indicator right here. Okay. It's got red, gray, and brown. It tells you when your flaps are down from the cockpit. Same thing over here. On this side, you have a boost tab that when you're flying along, it's an electric motor that operates. You make sure this is good. Make sure this moves freely. And you check the condition of the fabric, top and bottom. Check your wing. You got your gun bays on this side also.
Got it.
Make sure you got a pin there and a pin there. They have them sticking up so you can see them.
Okay.
And you look the same way here. You got these nuts and bolts here. It's going to be a thread and a half. You can hang your fingernail on it. Look down the wing. You got an antenna there. Tight. Good. This is your PDOT system. Air goes in here, down the wing in a tube to an instrument on the panel called your airspeed indicator. This is your landing light. Make sure it's flush. Make sure it's not broken. And you same way your door here. Condition of the tire. Make sure the brake is not leaking, and you got your scissor back here. Make sure it's connected. And you also check with the fine group of mechanics we have here that have done any work on it. And if you have any questions, they'll jump right on it and fix it. And these are vent lines for different things. For a crankcase vent, this happens to be the vent for the coolant pump. And just make sure all these, and use the same way, just tap here and then give the spinner up. Make sure it's not loose because you don't want it coming off, because it can come in the cockpit and ruin your day. That's pretty much the overall before you fly the airplane.
Mike, thank you for your time, and let's go take this for a test flight.